That means it's the beginning of a brand new episode of Bid Nerds. Hello, everyone. How is it? Wow. Did you see the way our logo animated? I don't know if that was supposed to do it that way, but,
Yeah,
we don't know
glitch
how
in
to use any of this equipment. Wow, look at that. That's a
a
thing.
glitch in the matrix.
That is right. Hello, everybody. My name is John Polnick. I'm the host of Bid Nerds. This is your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer, along with my partner Michael Deeb, coming to you from San Francisco Bay. He is a professional auction specialist. It says that below his name, so it must be true. How are you, Michael Deeb?
Fantastic, JP. Good morning, buddy. What's happening?
Oh, man, it's raining here in Las Vegas, which is very rare, but we need the rain, and it kind of looks like we live in Denver now instead of, because the mountains are covered with snow. It's really cool, actually.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Took the manual Cayenne out in the snow the other day and embarrassed a bunch of people, and so that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw Dwayne Wick and his family built a snowman and put a
Right.
carrot in the nose and took some photos. That was really cool.
We didn't get any snow down here on the Strip. We were hoping for a snow globe. My wife was staying up till late in the night to hopefully see that, and it did not occur. So a little bit of a bummer, but that's all right. We had a good time.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't get just snow outside your window because you're so high up, even though you're on the fountain
That's
floor.
what we were hoping for. We were hoping at night with the new Circa. If you guys haven't been to Vegas in a while, especially downtown where we're at, they just built a brand new casino. It's not just a brand new casino, but it's probably the coolest casino in Las Vegas. It's called the Circa.
Yeah.
21 and over. They don't allow any children there at all. They have the most spectacular roof deck. They've got like a 3-story high screen inside for the sports book. I mean, if you want to go watch a Super Bowl somewhere, that will be the place to do it. It has made downtown the cool part of town.
It's open, right?
It is open, yeah, and it is.
Yeah, and is it not, JP? Isn't it like probably one of the top 2 or 3 tallest structures at the north end of Old Town?
It is the tallest. Yeah, I mean
it's really cool.
Stratosphere is still the tallest in Vegas, but in downtown it eclipses everything.
It's cool.
And like the new modern buildings, they're all like the whole one side of it is a video screen, and then the other side of it is all lit up and it's animated, and it's just like it drastically improved our view. So thank you, Circa, But we were thinking with the snow coming down, all the extra light, it would have been just super cool, but didn't happen.
Yeah.
Anyways, there it is. Come to Vegas and visit the Circa. Circa, you guys should sponsor our show. All right, this is your daily nerd out about the most interesting cars on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer, not casinos in Las Vegas. So what we do here is we pick a bunch of cars that we think are interesting. They're not necessarily the best. They're not necessarily the greatest or even the greatest value. They're the cars that we think are most discussion worthy. And we talk about these cars on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer because lots of different cars come up every day. It's just, you never know what you're going to see on these auction sites. And we make predictions on what we think these cars will sell for. And we keep track of our predictions. And this week, Michael Deeb's having a pretty good week. Usually I wipe the floor with his A, but this week, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my touch. Maybe it's just a little too cold. You had a very good day yesterday.
Another one.
Let's go over yesterday's cars. I mean, it was fairly even. It wasn't like a blowout.
Yeah, and we were pretty close on most of the cars, including our star car, which was the 2009 Porsche Cayenne GTS 6-speed. Listen, JP, you were saying you think these cars have plateaued, and certainly the price of the one we looked at yesterday might be evidence to that claim. But I still think if another one comes around with low miles, you're still looking at a potentially new high watermark of around 40 grand. Our car had 126,000 miles. 2 sets of wheels, which was nice. The right color being like a triple black with black wheels and tinted windows. But there was just some evidence of 126,000 miles on this car. It wasn't like it was pristine. Anyway, I guessed 28 and you guessed over me at 29, which surprised me when you were saying you still thought this car might come close to 30 grand. Our car stalled out and sold at $25,000. So
which is
probably
still for a black on black manual GTS.
Yeah.
I thought 29 would have been a soft number. This 6 months ago would have been a 35. So I don't know.
Well, yeah. So well bought, I think.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the new owner. And that was our star car yesterday. Jumping over to P car, I had selected a 94 Porsche 968 Cabriolet. Two things about this car I thought were really cool. It was a manual transmission, so I think, although I don't have evidence of this, I think it's one of the rarer 6-speed manuals, because I think on the convertible they probably made more in the awful Tiptronic slush box. And then this car also came from the factory with a limited slip differential, leading me to believe that if you had to have a convertible of the 968, this might be one of the better driving ones. You and I agreed that a swap of those wheels would be all that it would take to make this a very cool ride indeed, even though I can picture myself driving the yellow car and you cannot picture yourself driving the yellow car.
This is not my first choice.
Not my first choice, but I somehow I would rock this one. I really liked it. I said
love the school bus peachy yellow.
Yeah, right. I said 28. Again, you went softer on me and did the 26,000. This car brought on P car, mind you, a whopping. I should say, let's start over. This car failed to meet the reserve and immediately went into the deal tank. And within the hour on the deal tank, this car sold for $31,000. So that turned out to be an interesting result. JP, I think initially this thing had stalled out. God, I'm not sure. Maybe even right between us at like 27 or 25 or something like that. But the car sold instantaneously on the deal tank at 31, which is a handful of thousands of dollars over wherever it finished on the natural auction. So congratulations to P-Car, to the seller, and to the buyer. So way to go.
How many miles did this one have on it?
62,000. Reasonable. Absolutely reasonable. And very clean. I thought this was a very clean car.
It really was. Our friends over at Godden Classic, they have a silver one.
It's Gary's car.
Is
Gary
that
bought
Gary's car?
It's either I can't remember, but it's either the very first 968 convertible or the very last 968 convertible brought into the United States, and that's why Gary bought it. It's manual. It's got terrible 3M across the front of the hood. The clear blob that only covers half the panels, and it's silver on gray. But it's low mile, it's nice condition, and it's Gary's personal car.
And they want like 70 grand. They want some just berserk number, like a number that's like.
It's not gonna happen. Just because Gary valued it at being super special because it was, I can't remember, either the first one or the last one. Nobody else will see it that way, and it's not a hot color. It came equipped with 16-inch Cup 1 wheels, and when he bought it, I ran when I was there. I
Cup
ran
ones or Cup 2? Oh, Cup ones.
Cup
great.
ones.
Okay.
16s though, the 16-inch versions.
Oh, okay.
And so it had 17-inch aftermarket wheels with Porsche caps on it. And I told Gary these are the wrong wheels. So we went out and sourced the correct 16-inch wheels for the car. And now it looks not so good on those. It needs 17s. It has to have that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. What's the next car?
Cars and bids. 2004 Volvo V70R wagon. Very interesting car. It was out of Montana, JP. Had 2 sets of wheels. It was manual transmission, but a whopping 215,000 miles or something. You and I both agreed that these Volvo sort of hot rod versions of their wagons with the bigger wheels, Brembo brakes, sometimes equipped with a manual, all-wheel drive, but like 300 horsepower, like boosted turbo cars, make a great platform for a daily driver, especially if you're in the snow or Colorado or whatever. But this one, it was kind of uninspiring. I said 63. You bet the under at 5. This car sold pretty much right where we were looking at it yesterday at 4,700. I'm not sure this car got another bid. Your first win of the day.
Car shouldn't have been on Cars and Bids. This is just too run-of-the-mill of a car. I mean, yes, it's an R, which makes it remotely interesting, but with 200,000 miles and just normal wear and tear, and I mean, this is a car. That's a car that belongs on, OfferUp or Craigslist or something like that. That is just a car that should be sold locally. You're not going to get any extra money trying to sell it on a national audience. It's going to cost too much to ship it anywhere. It has no long-term. It's not going to appreciate. In fact, I just don't get it.
Doug DeMero is sitting with his coffee in front of his laptop watching our show right now, and he's gonna be like, listen, mother chickens, did that thing sell? And we're like, yeah, it sold. He's like, and I got paid. We're like, yeah, you got paid. He's like, then it belongs on Cars and Bids.
Yeah, it's fun. That's funny to say, but really, I think it's the kind of thing that's going to keep him from getting paid in the future, because the more we see cars like this on Cars and Bids, the less anyone serious with a real cool car, with an actual car, is going to go,
or a two comma car, the cars with big money. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not putting my car on Cars and Bids. This is playtime. If I have a real car, I got to go to one of the real auction sites and get serious.
I agree with you that that's a regional car. That should have been a Craigslist car in Montana, and that car would have stayed in the state with its 2 sets of wheels and tires and been perfect for somebody out there.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's a high school kid's commuter car, whatever.
Exactly. On Bring a Trailer, we looked at just a really cool old Italian car. A 1962 Alfa Romeo 2000 Spider. Pininfarina designed this car. This is an aluminum-bodied car. These cars were hand-built, JP. Imagine when Alpha ordered one from Pininfarina would literally get out the wooden bucks and have one of their old Giuseppe artisans with a cigarette dangling in his mouth wearing a dark blue work coat, you know what I mean? Like a cloth work coat, and he's just there with a hammer beating the aluminum panels to make that car. Again, by Aston Martin or a Ferrari from the same era with a handmade aluminum body. These cars are bringing, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And yet our car was sitting at like $57,000 yesterday. So I had an idea that it would either stall out like around 85, 90,000, or it would go up to somewhere between 120 and 140. So you kind of bet the under at 90, and I bet over at 120. This car straddled us, went right between the two, and landed and sold at $100,000. I'd say that was not really well sold, except that he sold it. Probably pretty well bought, because I think the cars are going to be worth more money when the next round comes. You were closer than I was, so you won that one for your second win of the day. Congratulations to the new owner. That's an award-winning coach-built Alfa Romeo from the 60s. Very cool car.
All the class for $100,000. There's no other car you can buy for that money that's going to make you look that classy.
Yeah, super curb appeal. And then our last car, JP. Excuse me. Our last car, JP, I'm choking on it. 1999 Porsche 996 with an LS1 swap. 5.7 liter V8 that came out of a 98 Camaro. Manual transmission. I said 20, you said 18. This car sold at $24,500. So I don't know. Whoever spent the money on that definitely didn't get, their money out of it.
Idiot that spent $25,000 on this. It's the idiot that's going to blow by me in my normal 996, I'm sure.
Right.
Still, I just this. Man, okay, so if you're watching the show, if you're new to the show, thanks for tuning in, and hit that subscribe and like button. The cars that we discuss, when we say the most interesting, again, we've got to be very clear. We don't necessarily think all the cars that we choose are the best cars on Cars and Bids or Bring a Trailer, but we do choose cars specifically for their discussion worthiness, and that's why this car was brought up. A Mark I 996 is obviously a controversial car that is a Mark I 996 is in a world right now where there's a shift. It used to be everyone nerd-turded on them. And now it seems like they're kind of having a moment. And then you have this one that is certainly not a purist car, right? They put a Corvette engine in it, and boy, talk about something that's discussion worthy. And it used to be that this car would be sales proof. You would not be able to sell something like this, but that has also obviously changed. People are
clearly
all right. Well, I'll take a Corvette powered Mark I 996. I mean, there's just so many other cars you could get for $25,000 that would be just so much cooler than this.
Right.
I guess sometimes people are like, I want to go fast, and this will do it. So interesting.
There
all
you
right.
go.
Well, you if you tuned into the show today for the first time, it's probably because you saw the thumbnail of this Thunderbird. Yeah.
Ooh.
Is this an amazing car or what?
It is,
Let's talk
JP.
about today's car. Let's get to current news. We just went over yesterday's news. Now it's time for the current stuff. So let's hit it. It's that. What time is it? Time for the current cars. All right, let's nerd out. What do we got today?
JP out of Valley Village, California is our about a decade old refurbishment, which is to say a restoration that didn't go too far. A 1955 Ford Thunderbird. Excuse me. These are really, really attractive and kind of iconic cars from the era. The Thunderbird wasn't really a sporty car, but it was kind of a gentleman's GT. You know, it was a 2-seat roadster. Some of them either came with a hardtop, some of them came with a convertible top, and like our car, it came with both tops. So you had the convertible top and the removable hardtop. This era of the hardtop doesn't have the portal windows, but it's still distinctly a Ford Thunderbird from the early 50s. Imagine, if you will, though, Chevrolet came out with the Corvette, which was basically a similar version of this car, a 2-seat roadster with, you know, not big like the cars of the era, but the Corvette was designed to really go fast and make go faster around the turns. And so people took the Corvette racing, and as the Corvette continued to succeed in racing, the success went on and on. The Thunderbird always, I feel, struggled to find its footing because it wasn't a sporty car. It wasn't a car you would take racing, but it was still a car that would turn heads because it didn't look like anything else that might be on the road at that time in post World War II, with the growing of the American culture and everybody buying cars at that time. This car was refurbished in 2008. It has a small block V8. It's a 3-speed automatic transmission, but the paint job, the bright work, all of the service and maintenance that's been done since some refurbishment lead me to believe that this car is a turnkey, reliable, everything's been updated, and it's in excellent condition. I particularly love the black with the chrome offset, the white wall tires, and the two-tone interior, John. I think if you had to have one, this would be the one you want because it's pretty cool looking. What do you think? Ever had any love for the Thunderbird, or is it just something you admire from afar but would never want to own one?
You know, whether or not it's certainly, I don't know if one of these is necessarily on my list, or at least it's not high on my list. But when I look at this particular car in its black and chrome and the white walls and everything, I'm going to say it. I feel like I need to be on screen when I say this. I think this is the best looking American car ever made. I don't think there's a single American car that looks better than this one. Of any era, of any time, anything current, anything before it. This is just pure beauty, kind of like the Alpha that we were talking, or what? Not the what was the red? Was that a Fiat?
Yeah, that was Alpha. We were looking at the Alpha yesterday.
The little Alpha convertible yesterday that just whatever amount of money you buy on that, whatever amount of money you spend on that car means that you don't have to have any fashion sense. You can be the ugliest person in the world, and you can get into that car and you're immediately a sexy supermodel. You instantly have status. This car just, it just oozes class and luxury and cool, man. I mean, is there a better car to drive down the Vegas Boulevard? I mean, I know we always talk about Cadillacs and all.
I'd love a little bit longer American car that's in like white with red interior, a 62 Lincoln convertible with suicide doors, or a 68 Cadillac Eldorado convertible. But John, my favorite American car of all time, it's split between like a 65 Shelby GT350, but I think the best looking car is a 63 Corvette, either a coupe or even a convertible. That car is so otherworldly. This is beautiful, and it's distinctly 50s, and I agree it should be on somebody's short list if you're putting together the most interesting American cars, especially after World War II. Which is sort of the generation that speak to me. But this car doesn't drive worth a poop. It's a couch on wheels.
What it drives like. I mean, this is you're cruising down the boulevard in this car.
Totally.
That's all this is for. And
it's a lazy boy on white walls.
I didn't say it was the best car. I didn't say it was the best handling or fastest or anything. I said it's the best looking car.
It really is a good looking car.
That includes the Corvette, and I may have been conceived in one of those. The 63 that you were talking about. My father had a 63 Vet, and he also had a 57 Chevy or Thunderbird convertible.
So
with the
57. Yeah, the 57 has the portal windows, which is really cool. This is a gorgeous car, John. And what's neat too, if you kind of look, it kind of looks like it's a 2-seat, like almost like it has buckets, but it's kind of a bench, which means Rochelle can park right up. She can park right up under your armpit, and you guys can cruise down Boulevard, in the driver's side and the middle of the car with nobody on the passenger door.
Well, we would have Patootie and Pucci on the passenger side, and hell yeah, we'd be looking good. You know,
All
and
right,
if it
so-
were
yeah.
the 70s, you know, we just watched the movie Bad News Bears the other night,
Oh,
and
love it.
Walter
Walter Matthau.
Matthau driving
Yeah.
around in his Cadillac convertible, and all the kids are sitting on the back, and he's drinking
Yeah.
beers, and you know they got the baseball team is sponsored by the bail bonds company. Everyone else is sponsored by Pizza Hut, and yeah, I love that movie. I don't know how we got on Bad News Bears. Don't watch that with children, by the way. That movie is available on Amazon, and I cannot believe that someone hasn't pulled that from Amazon. I mean, it's
swearing is epic.
It's not just swearing. It's like it is one of the least PC Disney. Well, certainly, I mean, words that are completely banned from the internet. Words that if we said on the air, our channel would be shadow banned and deplatformed.
The FCC would be down here in a heartbeat. We're not even broadcasting.
Gosh, it's great. Little kids saying words, just dropping N-bombs and whoa. Disney. All right. Anyway,
all right, JP,
moving on. What is this Thunderbird worth? I don't know.
Out of California, our car is sitting on 17 bids at $45,000 with 4 hours and 40 minutes to go. It is as nice as an example as I've seen. Even though it's it's hard to believe it's a 13-year-old. They call it refurbishment, but I'm going to say restoration. Yeah. Beautiful. It really has held up well. It's been well cared for. John, I think our star car of the day is going to bring $64,000 and sell at that price. What do you think?
You know, I mean, why not? I sure hope it does. I mean, it's like this car or that Alpha from yesterday. Which one is classier? I mean, Italian or Americana?
Imagine parking them next to each other, red and black.
Gosh,
right?
It'd
be so sick.
Woo, yeah. You said 64. I'm going to go under and say 60. I mean, I just don't know. All right. It's such a great car. I mean, I hope it goes for a heck of a lot more, but
I do too.
You know, yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see. What do we got next?
All right, buddy. Let's jump over to Cars and Bids and look at one of my favorite cars, 2007 Audi S4 Avant. I'd much rather have an RS4 than this car, but I commend Audi for building it. It's a 4.2 liter V8, John, that made like 300 and almost 50 horsepower and 300 pound-foot of torque. It came in a bright yellow paint job and came with a manual 6-speed transmission and a slightly stiffer suspension. These cars never really handled that well because the majority of the motor is sitting out in front of the front axle. So these cars push and understeer badly. The wagons help because there's a little bit more weight than a sedan over the rear axle to help balance out the polar movement of the car. But an M3 will just run circles around these cars all day. And even a C63 is probably faster in a straight line. I still commend Audi for building these, and then they upped the ante by making the RS4, which only was available in the United States in a sedan. But there was an RS4 unicorn that they made in an Avant, a wagon, that was available overseas with a manual gearbox, and those are kind of the holy grail if you're into these kind of cars, which I am. Our car is offered out of Oakmont, Pennsylvania, with 133,000 miles on it. This is kind of a no-nonsense car. Upgrades include Stasis-sourced Alcon front brake kit, so bigger rotors and beautiful monoblock calipers. Alcon makes really great brakes that are included in most racing series around the world. You also notice, John, the BBS challenge wheels all around. Those look like they're 18-inch and super cool. The rest of it is just window dressing. Very nice cosmetic condition considering its age and the fact that it's been probably driven year-round in Pennsylvania where there is snow on the ground for a portion of the year. If this is a no-rust car, it probably holds up pretty well because they didn't make that many sticks, and they certainly didn't make that many in yellow. DeMiro laments that this might be like one of 2 or 3 manual wagon in yellow. So there you go. Yeah, one of only 3. So there you go. What do you think?
Well, I mean, how you said it makes 300-something horsepower?
Yeah, 345.
And a huge mess in your driveway when the timing belt fails and this thing just completely. Look, I love Audis are great when they're new. They are not when they're out of warranty. And this car at 133,000 miles is used up. Is a great looking lawn ornament that the interior design. Audi just knows how to do it, and they know how to get they know how to do all kinds of things except make a car that lasts. And you're buying this car. I mean, at 133,000 miles, it's like, okay, it's time for everything that goes wrong with it is going to start happening now. I mean, this car could conceivably still be on the road at 175,000 miles, but the amount of money that the owner of this car is going to have to put into this car between now and the time it makes 175,000 miles is equal to the amount of money that it would be just go buy a brand new one and make the payments or the lease payments or whatever. It's going to be constant multiple thousands of dollar repairs. And if somebody gave me this car, I would just like immediately give it to someone. I mean, this is just
look at that paint job is awesome.
It's pretty. It's beautiful. I don't have any problem with the way it looks. That's what, you know, I mean, it looks great, but it's, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful, useless thing. And that's all there is to it. There's a lot of those, a lot of things like that you could describe that way in the world.
That's exactly right.
If I'm going to get a beautiful, useless thing, I'm going to get, I don't know, something else. I guess you could, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the perfect, beautiful, useless thing because it is a wagon, which means you can use it like a storage pod in your yard. If you don't have room for all kinds of extra stuff in the house, just put it in this thing because it's not going to go anywhere. It's not like, yeah, anyways. All right.
19 bids, JP, 19 bids. It's at $16,250. It's hard to understand where this car is going to go. I don't think there's a lot of room left. Cosmetically, it's going to help because it's so clean. But is it a $20,000 car? I don't think so. Not with 133,000 miles on it. I'm going to say $18,500 and it sells.
$18,500. Yeah, I mean, this is really going to dig into someone's vape budget. Yeah, what's it at right now? How much?
16,000.
I was going to say 15, and it's already above that, boy. Okay. Yeah.
It's got an hour and 42 minutes to go. It's at 16,250 on 19 bids.
This is
out of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I mean, yeah, it's snowing there, so it's a good car to have in the snow and be stuck somewhere in. I guess.
All right.
Do the heated seats work when the engine stops?
Sure.
Probably for a while until the battery does.
Yeah, and it has a solar sunroof.
All right, great looking piece of garbage. All right, I do love that it's a manual, though. That's pretty cool. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, we're going to go to Canada on Bring a Trailer and look at a 1977 Porsche 930 Turbo Carrera. Yes. This car spent its entire life in the United States, but I believe it was bought by the current consignor, bought it off Bring a Trailer in 2016 and took the car to Vancouver, North Vancouver, British Columbia. So the car is sitting in Canada, but this car was a U.S. car, so it should be pretty easy to bring back in because everything, like the odometer and everything, is still in miles per hour, not in kilometers. So this should be a very easy car to federalize and bring home to the United States. What's interesting about these early cars, JP, is the Turbo Carrera was built in 75, and they only sold it in a couple of markets. They made like 300 of them, and they're worth like $500,000. 76 and 77 were the first years that the Turbo Carrera were brought to the United States with a 3-liter flat six single turbo non-intercooled car, hence the beautiful whale tail spoiler that sits very low on the deck lid because it doesn't have to accommodate the later turbos, intercooler. In 1978, they changed the name of the car to the Porsche 930. These were still designated as 930s, but they're referred to as Turbo Carreras. The 930s were sold in the United States in 1978, 1979 only, and then Porsche abandoned the U.S. market because of, I think, emissions laws and possibly the economy. I don't really know. I wasn't buying cars in those days.
In that era.
Yeah. And then the cars came back, JP, I think in like 85 or 86, we came back, and then they came back branded as a 911 Turbo, even though the 930 was still being built around the rest of the world. And the reason why ours were different is because to meet our emissions, we had to have a different different fuel delivery system. And so our cars weren't as powerful. 930s in the late 80s had grown to 300 horsepower, but our US cars were still only making 282 horsepower. And it's because we had different injection system. So what all of this is to say is these earliest of the cars, the earliest itineration, the 930 Turbo Carreras, are the most collectible ones in the United States. And this is an early Turbo Carrera U.S. car, even though our car is offered out of British Columbia. With 37,000 miles, and though you did show some close-ups, there are a few cracks in the paint. I still think this car is in nice enough condition that this is a collector version of the car. This is not a blue chip collectible, but certainly one that you could touch up a little bit and make really nice. You could show this car, or more importantly, you could drive it and have a blast with it. These early cars, I think, are a little bit lighter, a little bit more nimble. 4-speed manual transmission with a super tall first gear. JP, this thing will do 45 miles an hour in first gear. And then only has 3 more gears to go all the way on up to like 150 miles an hour. I love that wing. It's my favorite wing of all the cars. I even like the little nozzles that are sitting on the front bumper to spray the soapy water.
Yeah.
I think those details are really cool, and this is my favorite of the 930 generation of cars that were available through different parts of the 70s and 80s in the United States. In my opinion, this is the most collectible of the bunch that you can get. An early turbo Carrera from the racetrack to your driveway. What do you think, man?
Yeah, love it. I mean, come on. What can you say but the most iconic car probably of our lifetime? I mean, everybody said it a million times. This is the car that was on our, on our wall on a poster. This was the dream car of every adolescent in the 70s and 80s, or at least some variant of it. And to find the car that is basically the beginning of all that, or very nearly the beginning of all that, this is a must-have for the collector. You have to have a turbo 911 in your 930 in your collection, or you're not a car collector. So the big question is, though, is the values of 930s really have fluctuated. In fact, I would say they softened out terribly over the last couple of years. And oddly enough, I mean, at $97,000 where it's sitting right now with only an hour and a half to go, I mean, 964s, a regular C2 964 can bring in the 80s. So, and this is a 930 turbo. Does this have a long way to go? Is this going to have a late rally, or is this about where it's going to sit?
It's going to be hard because the car is in Canada. If this car maybe didn't have the flaws in the paint and was somewhere titled in the lower 48, I would say this car is easily $145,000 car. But I think it's going to struggle to bring that number. In my initial bid, I'm backing out the $7,000 to import it from there. But the fact is, nobody really wants to deal with that. So that might cost you $10,000. And the fact is, there are a few flaws in this older repaint, and that might cost you. So where my bid last night, JP, while I was really sleepy and I was like, smelling the bath salts on this one, I was thinking 133,000. I'm going to take $10,000 off my bid and go 123,000.
Dang you.
And I think that's still fair value, and then still worth the trouble because you're saving a little money to buy this one. Look, these cars aren't impossible to find, but you don't see them very often with just 37,000 miles on it. So even if you had to import this car, even if you repainted the whole thing, which I wouldn't recommend you do, just drive it, enjoy it. It's worth it, man. There's just so few turbo Carreras, and then there's not very many authentic 930s from 77 and 78. What we have a ton of, and the ones that really have taken it on the chin, were the 911 turbos from 86 through 89.
And that, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like, the thing is, at this price range, right, at that $100,000 to $150,000 range, does that person care about the collectability, or do they just want a 930, like some version of it? And at that point, are you going, you know what, I'd rather have the 86 or 87 because it's the newer stuff, and you can clean up the fuel injection and get that extra power that was not available, from the factory at the time. It's super easy to make one of these, make an 86 get 350 to 500 horsepower. I mean, that's just not a super challenge anymore. So
a 37,000 mile 86, 87, 88 911 turbo is an $80,000 car. We'd wholesale it at like $65,000 and sell it for $85,000. It's not an expensive car. 89s are unique because they have the 5-speed manual. They bring a premium, so that'd be $120,000 car with the miles. But the turbo Carrera is the one to have. It's the earliest version, and details are. You can't even copy it. You can't even fake it, because that wing won't fit over an intercooler. So there has to be a turbo Carrera to be turbocharged and have that whale tail spoiler, which is the beautiful wing. I love
it. Again, that kind of makes my point is that you're narrowing your audience to just collectors that are going to pay the premium. Whereas someone that just goes, I want a 930, they're going to get the best 930 they can get. They don't care if it's a 77 or an 87. In fact, probably going to lean towards 87, especially since they're better, so that you can get it for less money. So you said, did you land on a number? You were 123?
Yep. 123, JP.
I'm going to go 120. And I'm just going to be right underneath you and see how that goes. All right.
All right. Okay. Well, let's jump over real quick and look at another Audi. Earlier, I said that S4 had stasis brakes. It actually had Forge big brake kit. Our RS6, one owner, 2003 RS6 with just 85,000 original miles is offered to us out of Midland, Texas. The one major upgrade is that it has the stasis front brake kits, which is really cool because they use Alcon calipers, and those are like right off the racetrack. They're really, really cool. This car is beautiful in Ava silver with the carbon fiber interior. These cars had Alcantara and Bose and Recaro seats. What's really neat is this particular car came with the not very common factory performance exhaust system. So when you look at the back of the Audi, if the exhaust are ovals and they're black, that's the factory upgrade. Doesn't quite sound, JP, as raspy as, say, like an early R32, but it definitely sounds good for a turbocharged car. The 4.2-liter V8 that was in our S4 is in this car, but with two turbos, making 450 horsepower and 415 pound-foot of torque. It's the same 5-speed automatic transmission was the only gearbox offered on these cars, and the gearbox really held these back. But man, these cars absolutely fly. I've driven them. I enjoy them. They're as unreliable as every other Audi that JP will poop on. But man, when they're running, this is a cool Q car if ever there was one. Super comfortable, very good handling, incredible motor, terrible gearbox, terrible reliability, and a fantastic value. Even with just 85,000 miles, this is a car that's probably going to sell for under $25,000. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's morning, right? What time do we do this show? During the 9 o'clock hour?
Yeah.
Are you trying to put me to sleep? Because I don't care about Audis at all. So then you throw out two in a row. I mean, this thing just... it looks like a $2,500 car. I mean, that's what it really. Look, no, I'm serious. It's like because the regular versions are driving around, and the only difference between the $2,500 one and the $20-something thousand one is the badge when it comes to the aesthetic side of it. And so, if you're going to pay a premium, you kind of want something to look a little bit better. But I don't know. I mean, that the what do you call it? What was it? The E55 AMG the other day is so much cooler of a car.
Well done. That's a good. Yeah.
I'm nerd turding all over this because I'm kind of anti-Audi, and I apologize for that. But they really are great cars. I mean, they really are fun. They really do drive great. Again, like I said about the other car, Audi just knows how to make an interior that looks great. And when they do work, they work magnificently. Unlike the E55, this is a much more usable car. This one had the ski bag in the middle with the seats that fold down. I mean, what a great car to go up the mountain and go skiing. I'll admit it. I had a S4 for a while back in the day, and that was such a great ski car. I got rid of the Land Rover and got that, and I loved it while it worked, and then it, gave me all the problems, and I was like, never an Audi again. I wish kind of like, I wish like BMW made M's look a little bit special. If you're going to make if Audi should have done more to their RS line of cars to make them look like an RS car.
Yeah, Daniel Craig, who played James Bond, did a movie called Layer Cake, which was like a British gangster movie, and he drove an RS6 Avant, the wagon, and that was a really cool car in the movie. But in the U.S., we only got the sedan and we only got the automatic, which is a super bummer.
I love it when movies they're like, oh, okay, because that was the contemporary car of the time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and
it was.
Like, what was who's the guy that played Iceman in Top Gun? What's that actor's name? Val Kilmer. Back when he still looked good and didn't look like,
Elvis.
like he ate Tom Cruise. They tried to make The Saint into like a James Bond movie
with the Volvo
the V70 or what was that thing? The little two-door thing.
It was
the coupe, whatever. Oh man, and he just rolls up, and at the time I was like, wow, look at that. That's a Volvo. Volvo. Woo! Now you
Yeah.
look at it, you're like, whose daughter did he steal their car from? I mean, did he go to a high school car lot and just like jack this stupid Volvo?
The depreciation of that Volvo was the trajectory of Val Kilmer's career after that movie. So
that killed him. That killed him.
Pretty
yeah.
profound.
Kiss, bang, bang. He drove a CLK 430, which does still hang up, hold up. Anyway,
but that
he was already
at least the dialogue in that movie was really good.
Yeah, I love that movie.
All
right.
So
So what is this?
Our RS6 JP is sitting at $14,356, which is a really weird number, but it's on 26 bids. So this car is getting some action, mainly because it's a sub 100,000 mile version of these cars. Most of these have been driven into the dirt. I think our car will bring $21,000 and sell. What say you?
Yeah, it's out of Texas. You can go and you can fly down and get this car. Maybe hang out in Texas, go to a restaurant or something like that.
You can go to a restaurant in Texas.
Yeah. So go down, get some nice weather if you're from the if you're from the Northeast and you need an all-wheel drive car that's kind of cool. Fly down, get this one, drive it back, have yourself a nice road trip.
Yep.
And do it with reasonable. It does have under 100,000 miles, so it's probably not going to blow up yet. $21,000. I mean. Yeah, I guess that's probably what it's worth, but I just personally have such a hard time with these because I just don't think they're worth anything at all. So I'm going to say 19 and say it doesn't break 20, but it probably will because it's an RS6 and people get all jacked up over these stupid things. All right.
I did.
Yeah,
all right.
I know. Old school. I wonder what he's going to say about it. One of our fans that comments every day. He thinks I'm an idiot and loves to tell everyone about it. And I'm glad that he does. If you're watching the show, please comment. Tell us if we're idiots. If you think we're complete morons, what do you think your bid is going to be? Subscribe, hit the like button, do all those things, and subscribe. Let people know that this channel exists.
All right.
Last is that
one,
it?
JP.
Oh no, we got another one. Let me guess,
more.
an Audi TT or something. How many Audis can we do in one show?
It's an Audi.
Kidding, folks.
A 1995 Audi Wrangler Sahara.
A Wrangler Sahara. Okay.
Yeah, made by Jeep. This is a no reserve auction, JP, out of Allenhurst, New Jersey. Our car has just 65,000 miles. This one's equipped with the 4-liter inline 6 and a 5-speed manual transmission. I will say I am a huge fan of the moss green on the outside, and I absolutely hate this car because of these hideous putty-colored seats and that full beige dashboard. You can keep this one, John. I don't care what it brings. It's not worth it to me. The outside is cool, but the inside is a deal breaker. It is so ugly on the interior. Let's see, JP, what do they call this? A YJ. So you'll explain to the audience what a YJ is versus some of the other versions of J. But this one looks really nice. It's in really good cosmetic condition. And I know that these things hold their value fairly well. So explain to me and all the other idiots that are like me that don't know what a YJ is.
Well, I mean, YJ, XJ, TJ, JK,
CJ,
FJ,
yeah.
CJ. It's just a generation, kind of like E30, E36, and so on with BMW. This generation, sorry guys, I got some technical stuff I'm trying to do here.
Square headlights, I see, John.
Why is this? Sorry guys.
Running boards. Yeah.
Let's go back to some of the earlier pictures here. So the big thing to know. So this is a Sahara trim. So it has the color matched fenders. The more base model will have black fenders. This one has the small doors. So they're the low doors and they have the removable windows. Some people like the bigger doors.
That zips out, right?
Yeah, the window pops off and then the whole tan part literally comes off, and then obviously the soft top comes off. This is the best generation of Jeep in my opinion because they were the most simple. They had the 4-liter high output straight 6 engine that is not terribly powerful, not terribly fast, but the most reliable thing. Yeah, absolutely bulletproof. And this one is just super stock. The Sahara trim, we will get to the interior and tell you why you're completely, utterly, totally wrong in a minute. But no, this thing is just in really nice condition, and the small doors really are the way to experience a Jeep. The big doors kind of close you off, and typically the bigger doors come with a hardtop, but the lower doors are definitely the more fun way to go, although it is a major pain in the ass to stop at the drive-through coffee shop with those doors, with those windows, because you have to unzip it, and it's always flopping in your face. Now this interior is fantastic. I mean, the cloth with the green and the tan. This is like a safari style interior. It's designed so that when you get it's supposed to be out in the desert, and it complements the green. And there's enough black and there's enough other things going on that make it awesome.
There's not. There's not enough. There's not enough black, and that blue, which is not green. They say
it's not
it's
blue.
green.
That's just the color. That's
blue,
just the photography. It is not blue
it does
at all.
Not complement the moss green exterior.
You are either blind or not aware that photographs sometimes skew.
My wife and I have this argument all the time about things that are blue or green, and we definitely see them differently. So one of us is colorblind, and it's definitely her. But anyway, this is it's pure comedy that you and I are having the same argument. I love the color. What they call moss green to me is like British racing green, or remember the Mustang Bullet in dark Highland green.
Sure.
And that would be fine with just a tan interior, maybe do a black dash or a black steering wheel. But these seats, they kind of ruin the aesthetic. If those seats were bright red to match the pinstriping, it would look better. But anyway.
That's just silly. The fact that you think this is blue, I mean, look, I will admit that the photography makes it look a little denim, but the fact is, straight up, they are not blue at all. They are absolutely green when you see them in real life. The brochure says they're green. Everyone in the normal world will tell you that is the color green, not blue. But hey, you can live there. They look
very denim though. They really do.
But they're just not. They're just not.
And the pouches that are stitched, that leather band that goes around the shoulder and has the pouch in the back. I love the design. That they took a chance on the design and did something a little different.
It's kind of functional because that's the thing in Jeeps. They don't really have any storage area. There's no trunk. There's just an area behind the rear seat. The rear seat does fold up, but so stuff rolls around, especially when you're in the back. So it's these are the only unique seats. Like most of the Jeeps actually came with the same damn seat. So this one kind of has like a kind of aftermarket like little storage area in the back there that actually locks up when so that is not a factory thing, but that's actually a pretty nice little thing to be able, because that's one problem when you drive Wranglers around is that you don't have any there's no security in the darn thing typically. If you leave something in it, I mean, the big thing is just like don't put a nice stereo in it because people will steal it. There's the 36. This engine bay looks like it's it hasn't been ever cleaned. Ever. It is showing a little bit of it's not as presenting as nice as the rest of the vehicle. Where is this car? Is this in the Northeast?
Yeah, New Jersey, Allenhurst, New Jersey. Yeah. They talk about a minor bit of corrosion almost everywhere, right? So the body,
I am having
engine,
some
the
concerns
wheels
here. Yeah, look at these rails, right? So you got the rail here, and typically they spray the undercoat and kind of stuff to cover stuff up. But if you look at the corrosion area under here on the side of the frame rails, it looks like that stuff started to corrode, and then they sprayed something on top of it.
That's chicken shit.
Fishy to me. You trying to cover some stuff up, or are you just stopping it? I mean, it doesn't look. I'm a little concerned about this, but it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks mostly surface, but it is very difficult from a vehicle from New Jersey to from 1995 to live this long.
Totally.
I remember my family's from New Jersey, and they would come out and visit in the summertime to Seattle, and they would always marvel at all the old cars because they're like, cars don't last more than but then they'd go, wait a minute, that 10-year-old car is worth how much? And they'd be like, why is it so much? It's like, because it's brand new. In New Jersey, a car that old isn't worth anything because it's literally rusted to pieces. I really do like this car. I mean, this is just a great drive around car. It is kind of your Jurassic Park looking Wrangler. But $7,900 is pretty much what it's worth already. So I don't know how much more room this thing could have. 65,000 miles is pretty low for a 95 Wrangler, right? And these can go for 200,000 miles. And it looks nice, but
when we point out that the Sahara is a special edition, special with Jeep doesn't mean limited, right? There's still plenty of them out there.
There's a gajillion of. I mean, look, a little bit. I mean, and the interior condition is really good. It's hard to find those blue seats. They're not blue. They're not denim. It's very hard to. Those seats usually did not survive. Even in good climates, they just get tore up. The only Wrangler of this generation that has held up. Or is actually appreciating is the Renegade version. That's the one that has the big fender flares.
We did one last week, right?
No, that was a CJ. That was a CJ Renegade of the
Yeah.
earlier generation. It was not a
Oh,
Wrangler.
okay.
So that was a CJ7, so it did not have the flares.
God.
The Renegade Wranglers have big, huge fiberglass fender flares, and those are climbing up, and they're kind of neat.
Yeah.
And, but that's a whole other story. We can talk about those on another edition.
We'll find one. We'll find one. We'll cover
I've been kind of waiting for one to pop up. There was one that was popped up by a dealer, and we, if you've been watching the show, you may have noticed that we typically shy away from dealer auctions. We will occasionally talk about cars being sold on auction by dealers, but we really want to focus on individually owned cars. We're not totally against dealers. It's just we don't want to give a dealer an unfair advantage by being
marketing for them.
Even though we might turn nerd all over. Okay, so what do you think this thing's going to come down to?
JP, I don't know these things. Every time we review one, I learn something new, and I have to say I enjoy it. As I make my way back out to Vegas one of these days, we'll probably pick up a Jeep to go blast around in the desert stuff. Our car is sitting at $7,900. It's on 13 bids, and we should point out again, this is no reserve auction, so this car is going to sell. I think on this platform it's going to help it. Even though you're saying $8,000 is kind of all the money, I don't think this car is going to stall out at $8,500. So I'm going to say $9,500, and just know that I'm completely shooting in the dark here because I just don't know the cars very well.
I mean, that'd be some big money, and on paper that kind of makes sense at 65,000 miles. But with the corrosion,
but the rust,
I gotta think that's gonna cool some turbos. So.
13 bids, and action this morning. There's been a couple of bids already this morning, so there's people still looking at it that are trying to place themselves. So we'll see.
And in the area, though, I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of people in the Northeast, and this is a car that you want there. I mean, and you not have to travel and to find one with low miles. Yeah, it's got some corrosion, but it looks like it's okay. This thing does look like it has AC, and I will tell you that even in a 1995 era vehicle, the AC will freeze your gear shift knob right off. So they do. These are great in the. You can roll around in the summertime with the top down and crank that AC and not be hating life. It's actually great. Okay. Would you say 9,500?
Yeah, but I'm really just like throwing darts.
So am I. I mean, it's too high already. So I'm just going to think that somebody local wants a pretty decent Jeep, and I'm going to go right under you though and go 9. I mean, right under you because.
Okay, cool. Yeah, very good. That's a show.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching Bid Nerds. This is another edition. We do this every Monday through Friday during the 9:00 hour-ish Pacific time. This is your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer. My name is John Polnick, along with my partner Michael Deeb. We bid you farewell and bid early and bid often. See you guys tomorrow.
Look, Mikey, I got the Rami condom on there.
Condom hat.